Our back House Party 5v5's Premier League. Welcome everybody. The Dream Killers on the red side. Meanwhile, Northern Hospitality on the blue side. I'm your host, Anson. Thank you all for joining us for this game. On the commentator's desk, joining me, good friend Deck.
Hey guys.
And also Mr. Stein.
How's it going?
So we got the bands already out in Arthresh Gragas for Northern Hospitality, and Azir, Vladimir, Ezreal coming out for Dream Killers, and already Malkathos not wasting any time grabbing up the Morgana for his team. Morgana been seeing quite a bit of play here today.
It is highly contested. I mean, it's a strong pick. It has very good team fighting potential, and just you can't even put a value on the Black Shield. It's so good for not just defending your AD carry, but if your AD carry doesn't get fed, if your top laner gets fed, if your mid laner gets fed, you can use it on them and save them just fine.
Especially in this kind of rise of the 3 carry meta. A lot of top laners have been building more damage oriented of late, and especially with the most recent AP changes, that Black Shield increases in value a lot more in this most recent patch.
Oh, definitely. And seeing the Ezreal bans, I'm laughing because, you know, we haven't seen Ezreal bans in a long time. And seeing it banned because of a smite item.
Is this season 2?
Are we back to the trifecta of 80 carries? But despite the fact that I think all the trifecta except Graves have since moved to the mid lane recently in popularity.
I mean, we got Corki mid, right? Ezreal mid,
Alistar bottom. I feel like Robin Williams just busting out of the closet with the full beard on going, "What year is it?"
That is pretty much exactly how this is. We're seeing the victor.
Yeah, it also helps with the smite on Alistar right now throwing back.
Oh yeah, no. I would love to see the return of Alistar jungle, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
I mean, I think it's just one buff away on the purple smite from it being somewhat viable.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would be utterly terrified of it. I had a friend of mine who mained it back whenever it was popular, and it was dumb.
It was sick.
You just boots mobility, run up behind him. What are they gonna do? You're a cow. You punch him into the team.
Level 3 turret dives he was able to do.
Oh yeah, like you can't stop him. You can't stop the cow.
Very difficult to stop that much crowd control coming out of the jungle, and I would imagine that Riot don't want that much crowd control to be a viable jungle solution to your jungle needs. But you know, stranger things have happened. Like we are seeing a lot of things in this meta circle back around toward Season 2 and even in some cases Season 1 strategies.
And we are kind of seeing, like, it's kind of interesting because we're seeing Jinx again. I've seen a lot of Jinx play coming back a little bit more. She did kind of fall off for a little bit after her very unusual attack speed changes on her Q. I mean, it seemed to work because it did kind of nerf her, but I very much like that pick into Sivir because you can respond by saying, okay, you're going to clear my wave, I'll just clear it just as fast. You're going to push me into the tower? That's okay. I can clear the minions really fast, so I'm not scared of that. And if I get to the tower, I'm better at killing the tower.
Well, on the one hand, Jinx has the wave clear that can keep up with Sivir, but at the same time, there are a lot of very telegraphed Jinx abilities. Every single one of her abilities can be spell shielded by Google, or whoever ends up picking the Sivir, taking the Sivir.
It's another kind of the battle of speed. Sivir gives you the upfront speed in a team fight versus Jinx who's looking for that reset to get the speed at the end of the fight. I think, again, going back to the 3 carry meta, Jinx kind of thrives in that because fights are happening a lot faster. You don't have beefy frontliners kind of dealing with things. You have more damage threats, so all it takes is one kill for Jinx to really get going in those team fights again. And you have the good initiative.
And this is my hype game right now because I would just like to point out Northern Hospitality whipped out the Yasuo Malphite
where
combo.
I was going.
The Yasuo Malphite where Malphite is jungling. Post 6, he's just going to dive into lane and instantly kill you.
And I think it's really interesting going against the Nocturne, because Nocturne is another jungler who wants to farm to 6. I think his clear is a little bit faster, but I'm wondering if he's going to go Devourer and using that kind of lack of an early lack of an early potential out of the Malphite to kind of get rolling and farm through his weakness in the early game as well.
I think it's going to come down a lot to seeing whether or not Malphite can have some early presence. Because, yeah, Malphite wants to farm until 6, but he can actually gank. He has no CC, but he is really tanky. He can put out a decent amount of damage himself. So, if he can actually put some pressure on, it might force Mike to pick something else. And, oh, look at Strathagos. He brought the Smite mid lane on Lux.
That'll be extremely interesting. Lux is not a champion who needs any help with wave clear, and I don't really... she does get that extra damage on her auto attacks with her passive, and I wonder how well the Sheen is going to come out from there. That's going to be a really interesting mid lane against Malkuthos.
I would be so scared right now because, yeah, okay, you have the wind wall to block things, but if Strathagos ever gets any of the spell casts...
Oh, she
and
changes to a barrier at the last possible second.
I got trolled. Okay, fine. Don't let me have my fun.
That just, the theory crafting part of you was coming out, Deck.
I know, I was so excited. I was like, it could totally work. It might happen, but never mind. I guess if you want to whip it out, you don't whip it out against Yasuo.
Malphite gonna have to be careful. Mr. Dark, Mike has a good counter jungle opportunity here because he is going to have the upper hand when it comes to clear speed, when it comes to sustain, that Dark is not going to be able to on Malphite. So I expect some early jungle pressure coming in from the Dreamkillers.
And like, if you look at Dreamkiller's top lane, we don't see Jarvan top lanes all that often, but when we do see them, they're really terrifying. He does a whole lot of damage. He gets a lot of like innate tankiness as well. So if you're not careful, he'll kill you, and you won't even know how you died.
Yeah, and just looking at how these teamfights are going to play out, Morgana doesn't really... if you can't Black Shield abilities, she doesn't offer too much peel, especially with only kind of the single target CC and the binding. I don't know how well she'll deal with the two divers and the Jarvan and the Nocturne, who are going to kind of near instantly gap close on top of the Jinx. And it'll be really interesting to see which of the two carries that the Dreamkillers kind of focus on dream killing.
You know, I almost wish that Google, instead of picking the Sivir, I do like the Sivir with their team comp. They have this really nice, like, hard engaged team that benefits from the Sivir role, but I almost wish he played Kalista. It's probably because Kalista just got nerfed a little bit. So, but just imagine, like, this ridiculous engaged, like, dive, knock up team comp with a Kalista ult thrown in there with the Alistar.
I mean, you just have a hard on for wombo combos, don't you, Deck?
I do have a hard on for wombo combos, thank you.
Who does?
But
Wombo
I
combos are just... I mean,
Wombo
the very
Absolutely
first
things to watch.
League YouTube video I watched was the Wombo combo with the Ashe Ezreal teleport ults going down the middle.
Oh. It's so wonderful, though.
Wow, Wombo combo. Who doesn't like to see a good Wombo combo get pulled off? Well, hopefully we'll get to see a few pulled off this game. Guys, Caster's going to take a short break as we head into the loading screen. We're about 20 seconds away from there. We will be back as soon as we hit the rift. Stick around.
to House Party 5v5 Premier League. We are in our next game already. Last game was amazing. This game, we're in Game 4, Northern Hospitality versus Dream Killers. And joining me on the co-caster's desk, Stein.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think the competent Northern Hospitality it has very interesting tools for dealing with the relatively immobile carry of Lux. It'll kind of be the battle of the Wombo combo. Really interesting level 1 kind of coming out, both sides going out toward the bottom side, looking at each other a little bit, and then walking away.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird seeing this like line of scrimmage because in the first couple of games it was very heavily like, oh man, we want to go in the jungle and we want to drop wards in here and we want to see where you are because we want to catch you. And then now we just go like, no, we don't want to play safe. We don't want to fight you early. We don't want you to come steal our stuff. So go away.
I mean, I think both sides really want to find the level 6. Both teams want to find their fights, and the team that does a better job of picking their fights definitely has the advantage in this because there are tools kind of for everyone to kind of deal with the relatively mobile carries on the other side.
Yeah, neither team is an early game team. Both teams are very heavily weighted towards the mid game. Like, Victor hits his power spikes in the mid game. Malphite is incredibly powerful once he gets his ult and once he starts getting to roam around. Same thing with the Yasuo. And Yasuo top, I do see Yasuo top every once in a while. It's pretty good, but normally you play it in a situation where you can just kind of bully your opponent. That doesn't work with J4. He will just bully you back.
And it's really interesting. The Jarvan actually not starting any extra armor. He's just purely going off his base 36 armor, which, I mean, should be enough to deal with the Yasuo, but it's not taking kind of a specific page looking. He's just trying to bully purely with the base stats.
And I think it's more that his page is very weighted towards having a whole bunch of AD, and probably has like some scaling on it. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of scaling built in, but already just kind of scaring that Yasuo back a little bit. Just go away. This is my minion line.
Both sides threatening to use their swords on each other's. Well, I guess the lance for Jarvan, but just kind of waiting for it. A nice trade coming out for Fortitude there. Uses level 2 spike to get a little bit of grass on.
And that's pretty much how it's going to be. He needs to, if he wants to be able to dominate the Jarvan and to kind of push Jarvan away from him and keep Jarvan backpedaling, is he needs to take advantage of every very small power spike he can get, whether that's, haha, I've got my next rank of skills and you don't, or, I just came back and bought and you didn't, so I need to get you immediately. It's just going to be really back and forth like that.
It's really, a lot of these dependent on Jarvan's passive. If he's able to kind of get the trades into Yasuo before Yasuo's able to lifesteal or sustain out the early chunkage, the percent damage on the passive is really strong. We see an early gank out of that Malphite, but a nice binding stops the follow-up. It's a good W out of Victor. Some early turret dives from Boystark, and both sides just come out kind of worse for the wear in HP, but no summer spells used overall.
Bot lane already. A whole bunch of fighting. Uh-oh. Seeing Mike is... he kind of wants to fight boys, but decides against it. Malkuthos is really close by, and you really, really don't want to feed Victor early. If Victor gets ahead, there's nothing that Strathagos can do to stop him. He'll just harass him at about the same range. The ranges aren't the same, but they are close.
Really nice Dark Binding at the last possible second, kind of stops the Alistar, who's looking for the turret dive. The heal comes out, and it's first blood going over the Jinx.
Already fighting as well topside. Wriggle Q just pushing back Worcestershire, and like you said, he's taking advantage of the passive. Uses his Q to kind of poke in, pop the shield. Once the shield's worn off, auto attack, bam, just tons of damage right onto his face, and there's nothing he can do about it. His life steal this early isn't good enough to sustain that.
I think a really interesting choice out of Tommy 2 turns is starting with the coin. I mean, obviously the Alistar also started with coin and Genghis-Shan, but he's looking more to be the sustain and the anti-poke in that lane, especially when Sivir already has the control. I don't really understand why you're trying to make the all-in play there. I understand getting the first blood, getting the hype, and getting complete control of the lane, but you already have zone control, you already have wave control, and you have the ability to dictate pressure. And I don't really think the flash is really needed there, or the dive following up after he gets hit by the binding.
I was kind of confused by it too, because I was like, okay, why are we diving? Sivir is winning on CS. Sivir's in a better position. And you have more health and mana total than they do. Like, why are we trying to fight them again? I know that we want to reset the wave on the tower, but Sivir can do that at range. They've already made it so that Tummy Two Tomes has to back. He can't stay because he will die.
And meanwhile, you give Tammy Two Thumbs the ability to kind of back in about a wave and a half to get that BF sword in the first back, having the early AD advantage, and being fully in that lane. And Jinx is going to outscale the Sivir. Jinx is going to have the ability to kill anything much better than Sivir kills tanks. And it's going to be a very difficult play off that single decision to try to go all in on that flash at level 3.
Worcestershire doing some fancy step and dancing away. And he is safe.
Yeah, that's the gank pressure of Nocturne 3-6 against a mobile carry.
It's the gank pressure of a Nocturne versus Yasuo.
He has to rely on Rickle Q to set that up with the combo, which I believe either he had just used or the mana was down. So kind of questionable decision to go all in there. Also, the early gank from Voidstark being felt in that mid lane as the Victor has taken the 10 CS lead up to the Lux.
Yeah, and like, okay, we were talking about in Champs League, like, oh, you know, you're not going to see a whole bunch from Malphite early because he doesn't really want to do anything with early 6. And we saw the opposite. Oh, Worcestershire. Oh, never mind.
He
Crisis
goes in
averted.
and he walks out.
Crisis averted. It's Jarvan. He didn't even have to flash. He might get knocked up again, though.
You know, I think if Worcestershire had his flash there and had kind of a bigger wave, he might be looking to dive Jarvan on this. The Jarvan does have the Cataclysm. Yasuo was able to get out of it very easily, but the damage combined with the tower damage is probably enough to dissuade him from that dive.
It's probably really risky for him right now because he did use his flash last time. So if he gets caught and there aren't any minions in a good enough position for him to get out of the wall, he just dies. Now, he will kill Jarvan because that is assured he will kill Jarvan in that situation. But he also will probably die.
But I think that's in favor of Yasuo.
That's true, yeah.
Kind of the scaling threat in that lane, and you also get the control more in that instance. But he forces Jarvan back on the tower anyway. Jarvan's scared of that dive threat, and ends up controlling the wave and having an early CS lead.
And he does see that, you know, his jungler just hit 6. Voidstark is probably pretty close to 6, he would guess, so
That was an interesting Jinx ult.
You know, okay. Alright, Tammy.
We have all fat-fingered a spell in our day. There's nothing wrong with it. Just the stream saw it, and he will definitely be hearing about that from his teammates.
Anyway. So Wriggle is probably scared because Malphite's probably close to 6, and hey, Yasuo's ult's got a pretty short cooldown. If Malphite decides he wants to flash ult you, and you don't have time to react, you're probably dead.
I mean, it does have the 80-second cooldown at rank 1, which is nothing to kind of sneeze at. He would have been safe under the turret dive, but I think just any damage or any extra tankiness is enough to kind of threaten him off that dive. I don't even think you need a level 6 Malphite there. Just level 5 to be able to tank the turret and let the Yasuo do the damage is enough. And an early gank from Mike, but it just pays off with Victor's flash. Victor not even trying to drop the W and kind of dissuade the Nocturne into the potential turret dive. Another flash from Genghis-Shan for
he
nothing.
really wants these flash combos, but like, Tummy Two Tomes is just like, you can do that all you want. I've got the black shields on point.
I mean, he didn't even need the black shield to flash knockout missed. But there seems to be a sense of urgency out of Dream Killers here, that they're looking to force the play, which I don't think they need to. I think they have the tools. They want to kind of set up the lane pressure, leaving the laning phase, but They're looking to take more advantages than they really need out of a Sivir lane when Sivir's going to be just fine and Sivir is out CSing the opposing Jinx.
Now, I think it's mostly that Genghis feels like he is falling kind of behind, and he is. He has less gold than Tummy Two Tums, but that's not really that big of a deal. Sivir isn't even that far behind Jinx. She's only like 1 CS worth of gold behind.
The early gank from Victor is sort of turned around. We see the Jarvan coming down. He looks to all in the Victor, but there's not enough damage to do it. Really late TP. This is a very awkward fight. Q ends up killing Tommy Two Terms, who still has flash. The Malphite comes in and ults. The Yasuo gets the double kill. Yasuo looking for a triple here. But the Jinx ult is actually going to work this time, and it goes over to Tammy Two Thumbs with 3-for-1 trade for Northern Hospitality.
You know, I think Worcestershire would probably be mad about the kill secure from Tammy, but at the same time, it's just like, you had to make up for your last missed ult, so you can have it.
Really interesting call to stay in that fight. Q still had his flash up the entire time, and just kind of stood around after he blew his combo. Google was zoned off, and Genghis had blown all of his cooldowns, so there's really nothing he could do. There seems to be an attempted Dragon contest. The smite goes over to Boyce Dark. Had no kills come out, but very low health bars. I wonder what the Dream Killers can do with this pressure.
Well, probably what they want to do is they want to shove in bot lane, like right now. You know that the AD carry is going back. You know that the jungler is going back. At this point, just come on, Mike, bot lane. Your bot camps are all dead. Shove the tower and get it. You have the Sivir to do it. So they want the kill instead.
Or at least trying to get it. I don't think they can chase it down. Google didn't have the spell shield for that. And, I mean, they get the pink ward, they get the control, they're about to shove in this wave, but Sivir's going to come back with Boots, Dagger, and 2 attack damage components of the Infinity Edge.
And Jinx is already a good 300 or so gold ahead. Uh-oh.
And here's the turret dive. I don't understand why Google didn't finish off Tammy two turns there. They're just 1 auto attack away. Genghis still had tower aggro. I guess some miscommunication in the bot lane. Ends up trading Sivir ult for Morgana ult, as well as the Alistar ult and the flash out of Tummy Two Tones.
I like that they're being aggressive at better times now, but they're not being followed through with that. They need to be aggressive and then say, okay, we're diving. Okay, we're diving. We need to keep diving because I am Alistar. I can tank this tower. Jinx will come here, but that is okay because Jinx will be alone and we will kill her, and she has no black shield now.
Both junglers positioning around the mid lane. I wonder if there's... Oh, that's a ton of damage on the Mike. Mike goes down to Malexios, and that's the Victor getting ahead.
Did you know that Victor does a lot of damage? Because it turns out that burst mages tend to do a whole lot of damage.
Especially when aided with a Malphite ult.
Yeah, I think he was assuming that he would be safe in clearing that ward. Wrongfully so, but...
I mean, Lux could have been more aggressive in the lane. She kind of was staying at the back of the turret, which should have been a sign to Mike that turret, that ward isn't necessarily safe to clear. Interesting enough, he also wasn't trying to clear that with his spell shield. Another flash into Genghis, this one actually paying off with the black shield of Tummy Two Thumbs on herself. Wondering if Sivir can confirm this kill or if Tammy's just gonna walk away.
Yet again, just Sivir not quite finishing a kill. It's...
I mean, without Sivir ult flash, there's no real way to chase that down. I think you have to communicate. Jinx has flash there and able to kind of walk away. But another combo out of Genghis, looking to follow up at Tummy Two Turns. I don't think they have the damage to follow this up. If Sivir's able to get free, she's able to just auto attack the Jinx twice. And
Mike is nearby.
Questionable
He's totally
aggressive
ready to tower
posturing
dive.
again. I wonder which target Mike's gonna ult. They're looking to kind of set this up here. I think there was a graphics bug on my screen, but the turret goes down. Mike is all letting the Jinx, but Jinx gets just enough movement speed because of the slow from Malphite, and nothing happens. And more spells are used. The heal blown to try to escape the gravity field out of Victor, but all in all, a turret for Dream Killers.
I think. Wriggle.
And Jarvan.
Wriggle, go home. Wriggle, you don't want to stay here. He'll kill you.
He's killed for less. A really nice Q. Gives him a bit of damage. I don't think he has the mana for the ultimate, but it's enough to kind of force him off that tower and give an even bigger CS lead to that Yasuo, who's using the 2 early kills he got in that bot lane very effectively.
And we were talking about it, and it kind of got, thrown off by the interesting initiate up there. But Mike hasn't actually had a whole lot of pressure yet, and that's kind of what we saw before too. We haven't really seen a whole lot of pressures coming out from Nocturne, and I think it's like, okay, so with the other game with Nocturne, he was just behind. That's just how it was. He decided to go Warrior. But this game, Mike went Devourer. Mike only has 9 stacks on his Devourer. And
Wriggle Q coming down for a gank on top of Jinx Choppers, and looking to all in. Google still doesn't have ultimate, not able to close that gap. They're able to get the damage and kill Tummy 2 turns there. No counter ultimate from Yasuo. Lux throws the ultimate to try to pick off the Jinx, but Jinx has the HP for it. Yasuo starts to TP down, but Malphite's already blown the ultimate, gets enough with the Victor ultimate. I think they have the damage here to chase. I would abandon the Alistar, and that's what they do. Not looking up for any damage to the back end, the Alistar is going to go down.
with Alistar's dying breath, he says, "Go away, Malphite," and knocks him over the Dragon Ball.
Malphite's able to get the slow onto Sivir. Sivir is not an effective Dragon Killer. She's finally, or not an effective tank killer, and that's kind of the result from it. Mike gets a tower out of the top lane, but that's more kills going over to Northern Hospitality, who have a firm 2,000 gold lead in this game.
At this point, the tower top lane seems like it was an afterthought. It's like, oh, well, we've already lost all of this. I guess we should probably get this tower down.
And with that, I mean, with all the ultimates being blown at Northern Hospitality and the TP, I think that turret is free anyway, and I don't think Google needs to really compete there. I think he would be able to walk out of that very quickly and very easily. But that's the second dragon over to Northern Hospitality. They have very good control in this map. They are down 2 turrets, but pretty much any time they want to group with that Jinx, they can start wrecking turrets pretty effectively. The Yasuo, as we've seen, is able to split push against the Jarvan, able to do it safely, able to kind of bully him out of that lane. And I don't really know what tools Dreamkillers have to get back in this game. Maybe they get a pick with the Nocturne. Maybe Jarvan's all-ins the Victor for half his HP, and then Victor returns the damage. But I don't see an easy way for Dreamkillers to kind of force a fight against the damage threats who are just ahead.
Like, there is no easy return here. But Dreamkillers does have the tower lead. All they need to do is keep the towers pushing on the other sides and group down mid. Because if the towers are pushing down, then yes, Yasuo could split push. But then Yasuo is trading 1 for 1. He's trading actually a top tower for a mid tower, and at this point, the mid tower is way more valuable for Dreamkillers than the top tower is for Northern Hospitality.
But then you still have the issue of Mike, who's trying to farm up on that Devourer. If you're grouping up and trying to force fights, trying to force objectives while you have that tower lead, then he's not getting stacks in the Devourer, and the Devourer is not going to actually peak until 30+ minutes.
Well, it's already looking like that, though, because he's only at 15 stacks. He's not gotten a dragon kill. So he is kind of behind on that, and I guess if he keeps control of the crabs, then he'll be able to keep those up. If he keeps power farming, he'll be able to keep those up. But it's going to be giving up so much to get them. He'd be better off fighting, because if he fights, at least then he can get stacks from winning the fight.
Oh, but a beautiful wombo combo out of Gorgesire and Malphite. The fight extends on. Team has to flash away from Mike at the end of the fight, but they're looking to get the cleanup. Jinx should be able to get the dive. doesn't work out. Ends up being a 4-for-1. They're looking to kill this. Now they look to kill the Victor at the end of the fight. That was a messy turn time. It was a great start, but Malk was not in a position to get the ult to follow up, and they just lived.
I was totally prepared to give my whole "this is why I love Wombo Combos" speech, and then it just fell apart.
This is why I love Wombo Combos, because in that instance, if you don't do it correctly, it falls apart. You have Boystark, who was taking the turret that entire fight, but he has the Frozen Heart. He doesn't have any extra HP besides the Cinderhulk. The Cinderhulk gives I believe, 300 HP now? Yeah, 300 HP, but also the bonus health. You don't have any extra health on top of that right now to kind of give him the ability to tank turrets for too long. And he just dies to turret, and I would almost argue quadra threat comp, because Mike has so much damage and was a massive threat and was able to zone off Tammy 2 Thumbs in that fight. Wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a situation where it looked so pretty, and it was like, oh, this is exactly what you want. But unfortunately, it was too early. It was way too early. It just kind of fell apart, and they paid for it. They had this huge, like, almost 3K gold lead, and now they're 2,000 gold behind. And all it was one lost team fight. So I guess
1 poor hour time. I mean,
yeah,
I guess that's nothing that Dreamkiller is doing to get back in the game, but it's Northern Hospitality just handing that lead back over.
Yes, what I was gonna say was, man, this almost seems like it was Northern Hospitality saying, oh, well, the game's not very fun, it's not very even, so let's make it even.
And some interesting itemization choices coming out of the mid lane. Lux still going for that early Ludens versus Victor, who's going for the Rallies, which, I mean, was buffed in the recent patch for single target spells. I believe it procs 40%, and for multi-trigger spells, which I think would only be the ultimate for Victor, it's 20% slow. Slows were also changed in this most recent patch, where the strongest one kind of takes over, which I think only has to really compete with the Malphite and or red buff. But it'll be really interesting. Wow, Yasuo goes to all-in Mike. They're diving on. They're doing a ton of damage, but there's the return damage out of Wriggle Q. Yasuo cannot escape this windwall, but there's no one to kind of back him up, and he goes down. It's a double kill over to Victor, and the lead taken away.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they may have gotten a little bit cocky. They may have realized, we're ahead now. We can play a little bit riskier, and that exact cockiness is what got Northern Hospitality. Goodbye, boys.
Apparently, still lives, able to unstoppable force out of there with protection of the wind wall, sealing off the damage from Lux and the Silver coming off from the side. But just, I don't know, questionable play from Mike. There was no kind of ward control over there. You have no pressure in a lane forcing somebody over, and they're able to. You have Northern Hospitality able to collapse earlier. Now, Dreamkiller still do have the gold lead, but they have the gold lead while they're up in 3 towers, and Jinx is able to take towers very quickly and very effectively. Those towers can fall down very quickly, and you have that gold lead immediately flipping over.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Mike was doing that because he has not gotten a dragon yet, so he does not have that advantage for getting the Devourer sated. So he's trying to get as many crabs as he can, but because he is trying to get them, he's putting himself at risk for 2 more stacks. Now, if they can get the dragon, then he'll be in a good spot. Only need 2 more camps and he'll be fully stacked. But I don't see them doing this. This is really dangerous.
Well, it's less dangerous because the Malphite ult was burned at the end of that. So you don't have the Wombo combo threat out of the Yasuo Malphite, but you do have the completed Rallies out of Victor, who has a ton of damage right now. He's 5-1-4, the highest gold in the game, and it's... I mean, if they're able to close the gap onto Victor and kill him, which shouldn't be too difficult, if Jarvan's able to be there ahead of the fight and dive alongside of the Victor, or dive alongside of the Nocturne, then you're fine. But if that doesn't happen, then you're looking for a pick with Lux. Otherwise, this Dragon's going to go over to Northern Hospitality.
Yeah, the way it's looking right now is that currently Malkuthos is the strongest on his team. He has the most gold, and he is always being in the middle of the focus of the fights because he has really good positioning, and he just does a whole bunch of AoE damage. The strongest person on the other team is top lane right now, and has to stay top lane to keep Yasuo from pushing in the tower.
I mean, but do you, if you're, well, Northern Hospitality rotates over trying to get this bot turret, but if you're Dreamkillers, do you trade that top turret for the Dragon and 2 more stacks on Mike that get you closer to that Sated? He's currently sitting at 23 stacks. The Dragon would close him, I believe, does the Dragon give 3 stacks or 2 stacks?
The Dragon gives 5 stack.
Oh, the Dragon giving 5 stacks would put him at 28 and make him a Scuttle Crab or just 2 camps away from that Sated, which is a huge power spike that is really needed out of the Dreamkillers.
I mean, it will give him that, and he already has a Blade of the Ruined King, which normally you've almost got it stacked before you finish your item if you're in an ideal situation, but he hasn't been. We've gotten a Contested Dragon successfully. Oh, never mind. Crisis averted.
I feel like that's the theme of both supports. I mean, Genghis-Khan has worked really hard to try to be the engage force, but both teams are able. Oh, the re-engage on a Wiggle Cube. They're able to 100-0 damage you, though, very effectively. It's one of the carries out of the fight with Hospitality. The re-engage is coming through. A beautiful knockup on the 2 main carries of the Yasuo. He's doing a ton of damage in this fight, but he's been left alone, and he goes down, and that's the fight over to Dreamkillers.
That was such a well-played fight by Dreamkillers, because there was a whole bunch of, okay, we forced the engage to initiate, and, you know, if I didn't know any better, which it was obviously not intentional for that to have started that way, but I almost think that the initiate was kind of baiting them into coming in.
But it seemed like a triple bait. That is Mike completing these in Devour, but it was, I'm going to bait you with Sivir ult, then you're going to bait me by running back at me with the teleport, and then we're going to re-engage because we have Jarvan.
Yeah, and we were saying, like, oh, Genghis-Khan is working so hard to get these initiates, but it's okay. Uh-oh.
Really surprised that Lux Bunny didn't hit on Mouth, but he's pretty dead to Mike.
Not much he could do there. He might have been able to get a return kill, but didn't quite have the damage.
I mean, I'm happy that he kind of kept up his ultimate there. I think getting a kill there is iffy at best, and you want to have that wombo pressure. You need to have all the ultimates up from Northern Hospitality to pick and choose a fight. Hopefully not under turret this time, but Dreamkillers regain the lead. Regain the lead and kind of regain control of this game. They're up nearly 2,500 gold. You have a lot of gold on the 3 main carries, and you have Mike up at the Sated Devourer and the Blade of the Ruined King, so he'll be doing a ton of damage in these fights.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here now is that because Mike's Devourer is now sated, he was already kind of a pretty good threat, but the power spike that comes from Sated Devourer, especially on a Nocturne, because he could just proc his AoE auto-attacking from his passive so much.
I mean, the AoE is less important than the extra damage added to it, especially because he's looking to kind of zone out and target either the Jinx or the Victor and 100-0 them. Though the AoE does help, it's not super effective in teamfights because none of Nocturne's damage, other than like his Q, is really AoE, and even that AoE isn't that large.
It's less about the 100-0 though. Like, yes, you want the 100-0, like right here, you want to be able to 100-0 her.
A good flash out of Mike. Wow. Mike lives with just, I believe, 5 HP after that dangerous game passive. Really well played by Genghis-Khan there, able to finally get the flash initiations to work and the solid re-engages. Getting that pick. I wonder what Dreamkillers want to do with this. Oh, but a nice ult only hits Lux. Beautiful windfall to follow up. Completely effective. Completely zoning out that carry. You're not even going to get the AoE damage into Google in this fight, and that's a pick for a pick.
It was kind of funny because it almost seemed like the teams were kind of bickering, because it's like, oh hey, Genghis-Khan finds combo off after like 4 attempts. That's okay. We'll get one of our multiple combos off and kill not just one of you, but kill 2 of you.
Yasuo also did a fantastic job as he kind of went in on that
Lux.
Oh yeah, to 100-0 her, but immediately dropping the wind wall and shutting out Google. That's been an absolutely fantastic tool. They're rewarded with the top tower for this, and they'll bring the gold within 2,000.
It's getting closer. It is getting dangerously close. They're starting to be able to push up. Unfortunately, they don't have any tier 1 turrets anymore, but if they can ever actually get to that tower, mid tower's really low. They could kill it really fast with Jinx. Bot tower's really low. They could kill it really fast with Jinx. If only they could actually keep the wave pushed up long enough.
And not have Mike diving on a carry in the middle.
And not have, Mike diving another carry.
But interesting enough, Mike has actually taken over and has the most gold in the game right now. He's sitting at 10,400, and I mean, he buys the Tiamat, who's looking for that AoE damage and looking to do a lot in these fights. Was really hoping a Black Cleaver would come out. You already have a lot of armor shred coming out of Jarvan, but just the extra HP does a lot, as well as the movement speed passive to chase one of the Jinx who might get randomly excited off of a rocket kill or a rocket reset.
And the thing to remember about Black Cleaver on the new Sated Devourer Nocturne is procs it super fast. Like, when he walks in, auto attacks. The auto attack does it. His AoE that he gets it's not separate from the attack, but like every time he hits, he's getting it 3 stacks. Because he goes, hit again, okay, I've got 3 stacks. Hit one more time, it's almost fully stacked. And if Jarvan is there, it is fully stacked, because Jarvan is going Q in and then auto attack.
And as well as the Q, which is another, I believe, 5% armor shred?
Right. The Q is a whole bunch of armor shred, although it depends on whether or not he maxed it.
26% armor shred.
Yeah, he maxed it first, because it's the strongest ability. So it's only for 3 seconds. But 26% for 3 seconds on something that doesn't have very much armor to begin with.
While you have a Nocturne diving you.
Very fast death. I'm not really sure what they're doing on the sidelines, though. Are they just going to give this tower up?
The junglers trade ults there. Jarvan holding onto his ult for too long is able to trap in. Mike is not able to follow up. Google flashes through the middle of the team and just died. You have all the damage threats still alive for Northern Hospitality. They're looking to take this fight. Jarvan is trying to do his best to zone off. He's able to flash, but Jinx is looking to get a reset in a couple of seconds. You have Victor ended up picking up the kill and a triple kill for Yasuo.
It almost seemed like it was another, oh boy, here comes Northern Hospitality, diving too deep. And it almost was. But then suddenly, the team splits up, and they split up in a way that favors everybody. Yeah, Google flashes in for no reason. I mean, I guess he was trying to get somebody before they managed to get away.
I mean, you could say he was searching for a kill there.
He was searching for a kill, but there was a Yasuo right behind him. There was a low health Malphite right nearby. They didn't even get anything for that. Oh, no. They did get Morgana. Morgana did get crit killed. So, but they lost. They lost not one, but they lost 3 towers, an inhibitor, and a dragon.
And a gold lead.
And a gold lead, again.
But I don't understand the re-engage out of Mike and Wriggle Q. I'm guessing they're saying we can get on the bottom of that. That's a lot of code coming out of Lux. A very nice knockup. Wombo combo of their own. They turn around. Jinx or Sivir spell shields the ultimate. They get the fear onto Blaze Dark, and they all in him. And that's a 2 for 0. Are they looking towards Baron?
I would not be surprised. That was Genghis. Genghis, I'm sorry for doubting you. You have paid for your sins. That was such a beautiful pulverized combo. You got 3 people, all 3 of which were stuck inside Lux's final spark.
And ult re-engaging, I'm guessing to take that bot tower, which is probably going down to the minions anyway. Got a questionable use of the ultimate from Google, but it'll be up in probably 70 seconds.
It doesn't have a very long cooldown, and at this point they're not really using it to engage because they're usually using it to run away. But it's okay, and we see Jarvan has his he's got a whole bunch of stuff now. He's got his Ravenous Hydra, he's got his Black Cleaver, he's working on his Randuin's Omen, and I don't know. This is a real pendulum game. All I can say is, at least it's not a stomp. Real back and forth. The kills are a little bit leaning towards Northern Hospitality, but we're seeing a whole bunch of really good plays, a lot of really good overall team fighting from the Dreamkillers. So, I don't know. It's
and if
entertaining.
you look at the top side of the jungle, a lot of very nice ward control, but
Yeah,
ward control
look at
is
that.
not exactly being used because they're shoving against supers.
Look at that. Look at that ward control. That is amazing. There's so much vision over there. It's beautiful. There's almost too much vision, but there's no such thing as too much vision.
I would argue there's too much vision because you have nothing on that bottom side. If they're forced off the top turret, I mean, you're going deep to get the inhibitor turret if you're Mike looking to split push there, but they can't move over to the clearer tier 2 down there. And I mean, obviously the vision's been set there right before Baron, right after it, but it is too much in this case. It's not doing as much for them as it would if there was another objective on the top side of the map that they could really pressure easily.
Yeah, and I think they should be looking to move towards having some pressure bot lane, but I think that they want to deprive the jungle of more, which is why Mike is farming away. He's getting the buffs away, and they want to use this Baron to kind of push in mid a little bit, hopefully get a tower, kind of offset their mistake earlier, but that's not what they need to be doing with it. They don't want to be split pushing, because if they split push, then somebody's probably going to get killed by a combo. And if somebody gets killed by a combo,
why this game is such a pendulum game, because both teams have all of these engage tools, and both teams are absolutely terrible at running away from each other. With these last two fights have been one side engaging, using most of their combo, not able to get it, and then the other side is doing the same. That's a dead Jinx. That's a very dead Jinx.
Goodbye, Jinx.
Possibly too much. I mean, I think she was pretty dead, being by herself, being without flash, being without the heal. But you know, it's getting a map advantage and getting the pressure, getting a tier 2 and probably rotating over into that mid tier 2 as well. Victor looking to get all in, but just flashes out and is able to play pretty safe. Genghis headbutts away the Malphite. Genghis playing really interesting. These last two. Oh, well, re-engage. A nice flash over with Yasuo following up the Malphite. A ton of damage coming out from Malphite. I don't know if there's anything else to follow up. They don't have the chase potential. They'll probably get the Alistar at the end of this fight, but if they keep chasing forward, they can very easily get poked out and re-engaged on. Oh, but Google walks into the exhausted Tammy Two Thumbs. Yasuo continues to chase. That's a double kill coming out, doing tons of damage. This is a 4v5 without the AD carry, and I believe a delayed double for Malk as well. Ends up being a 4 for 0 in a 4v5 because all the engaged duels on both sides.
So, Mike blew Darkness super early to try and, like, solo kill Malkathos. I don't know what he was thinking. He just dove. It wasn't even, like, diving from the sidelines. Malkathos was relatively close to his tower. He was between two turrets, and he just decides, okay, I'm just going to ult straight down, straight through everything to get to you. And I get here. Okay, now what? I have no MR. I'm up against the strongest person on the team at the time, before the huge number of kills that came from the Yasuo. And I don't know, it was ridiculous. So much of the engage was already used. They didn't have any ults left. Wriggles came up at the end of that fight, and by then he was dead.
And it was really interesting. Genghis has positioned the last two towers, and he's always headbutted away the Malphite. He wants the Malphite away from his team as much as possible, being wary of that ultimate whenever they're sieging and looking to hit a tower. That being said, as soon as the headbutt combo was down, Malphite was able to walk up and get the ultimate because the team didn't back off. The Sivir doesn't have enough range to really safely siege a tower against the range of the Victor, and they just weren't patient enough. There's 2 seconds left before this dragon spawns. It'll probably be a safe dragon for Northern Hospitality, given all of the gold and all of the damage coming out from their squad.
And we see Worcestershire, he picked up that Banshee's Veil, and personally, Yasuo player, I love Banshee's Veil. I think it is underbuilt sometimes, but it is a good response because you want to hang back until your shield's up anyway. So usually you can kind of wait. You can kind of wait for the Banshees to be able to come back up, and then choose when you go in. And that means when you ult in, they have to use more than one thing to stop you.
Yeah, it shuts out the Alistar combo from being able to disengage against you.
Seeing a decent amount of harass back from Strathagos. Talking about the Lux range. They've got really good wave clear. I guess the saving grace of all of this is at least Dreamkillers, even if they're behind, they have a really good wave clear. They have the Sivir, they have Lux. They just have so much good potential for ranged wave clear. So it's a little hard to just kind of push in.
Oh, but a beautiful combo from Genghis Khan. That's a beautiful fight, despite it's going very much in the favor of Dreamkillers. But Yasuo is still alive, doing a ton of damage. That's a 4 for 0. Lux picks up the kill at the very end of that. That was a beautiful knockup out of Genghis Khan.
And hello darkness, my old friend. Nocturne coming all the way from his topside jungle. They had no idea where he was. They had no vision there. He just instantly appears, and he doesn't change his idea. He goes straight for Malkathos, forces Malkathos to, instead of being the danger that he is, he says, okay, you're backpedaling. You're on your back leg. Run away from me. And that just, combined with the incredible combo from Genghis in the knockup and the Jarvan initiates, it was beautiful.
Another really interesting thing about it is Mike led with Darkness but didn't pick a target. It forced Northern Hospitality to kind of group up and say, this single target assassin is coming in and we're going to kill him. And they grouped up right for the Alistar to say, hey look, here's a team, I'm a one-man wombo combo.
Did you know that if you all group up, I can get you? Because I can.
No, I'm in gold elo. No one has learned that trick.
Exactly.
So
Simply
they
bronze
say for the
things.
loop up, there's a lot of chase potential. They're already on the Baron. This might be a question to solve. WiggleQ's still pushing the bot lane down. He's teleporting currently in behind the fight. They're looking to all in. They kill the jungler. That's the all dead on Jinx, but that's the Baron over to Northern Hospitality.
That was a questionable Baron. You're not all there. Genghis Khan was helping Lux get the blue buff, and you're kind of backing away from the enemy team. And this is not a team that you want to fight in Baron Pit. They've got Malphite, they've got Yasuo, they've got the Victor ult. You don't want to be anywhere near an area where you're all clumped together.
I mean, even though they were in the Baron Pit, they weren't too clumped together. Because then again, that meant the Yasuo was able to say, hey, look, it's a single target. I can just blow up, I can crit, I can fight. And I mean, that's a lot of pressure over. You win a fight, you take an inhibitor, you stay for the blue buff, which I thought was a questionable call, and you stay for the blue buff because you're doing the Baron, which gives the control back to the other team.
Once more, this is just a game of questionable plays. Genghis Khan coming up on the side, but nobody's here yet. And he missed his combo. And he had to ult.
Okay.
Alright.
I mean, I like the intention, except the fact that you have Mike and Baze. I'm really wondering what the comps are like for these teams, because Dreamkillers seem to be in the same game plan, but not the same mindset and not in the same moment.
I like to think that there's a whole lot of I'm helping and I've got this.
It's been, I mean, this has been an incredible game to watch. I really hope that they Northern Hospitality slow pushes with this. I would prefer if they try to take the two interior turrets, because I feel like those are both safer. But you have the Malphite all going in. That's a lot of damage focus on the Lux. Lux is zoned out of the fight, but a beautiful Jarvan combo. Another nice knockup out of Genghis Khan, and the chase is coming out of both sides, but there's a lot of help on the tank, there's a lot of help on the Jinx right now. Jinx is still desperately looking for that reset. He's not able to get it, and Google's able to finally get a flash that works for him. And it's looking like it's going to be an ace for the Dreamkillers. Eventually. Or
nope.
not. Or it's a 3-for-1. But no matter what, it probably gives the Dragon over... It takes away 4th Dragon from Northern Hospitality. That's up to 57 seconds, and the lowest spawn timer is Malcolm, 30. So it'll be either a steal from Boystark, which will give a lot of pressure over, or it'll probably be the Dragon going over pretty safely.
That was. I think that was the first time that Google flashing into multiple people worked.
I mean, eventually it's gonna work, right?
Eventually, enough times, it will work.
Now, I mean, I think Google had one bad flash earlier, but other than that, he's had very solid positioning in these team fights. He's always been kind of separated away from Strathmagos, and there hasn't been a Malphite ult that's hit both of them, except that one where it was the really unfortunate tower dive for them. And it's been safety. I really don't like the set of Dream Killers. They have this window where they have a lot of the threats down for Northern Hospitality, and they just immediately give up this Baron control, or this Dragon control. They take a few buffs, that's fine. They push a few waves, that's fine. But this 4th Dragon is coming up. You know the timer's up for it, and you don't set up or give any sort of resemblance of a fight. But there's the ultimate. They're looking to engage here. Nice knockup from the Jarvan. Focus on Mount. He still doesn't have flash. Mount goes down, and that's so much damage. That's the Yasuo. He finally gets 2, but there's Sonia's on the Lux, and he's able to still go through this fight. He ends up going down. Timothy is the only one left trying to get the reset, but that ends up. That's a triple kill over for the Sivir. Wow, that's probably the game with 60-second death timers and a naked inhibitor and an Alistar with mostly full health able to take these turrets. But quite the game coming out in favor of Dream Killers.
That was a fight. They're gonna wait for the inhibitor. Smart play. Don't want to get troll inhibited. But yeah, I would like to point out that Genghis Khan had a headbutt that wasn't went for any combos or anything. Wasn't trying to go for a wombo combo. It was just, hey, Worcestershire, get out of my team. You've already used your dashes. Now you get a walk in.
And that, I mean, I think that ended up sealing the
That's
fight
the
off.
game.
Yeah, it was Wriggle and Mike being able to successfully dive the carries. Like I pointed out earlier, Morg does not have the peel to deal with these 2 diving threats. And I mean, your mobile carries end up just dying within the ultimate, and the Yasuo, who had done so much more in so much earlier team fights, is zoned off by the Alistar. Is unable to get to the carries and do the work that he was trying to do so desperately all game.
And I don't normally like just saying the random quotes from chat, but Wriggle says it best. In the game of throws, you win or you throw again.
That's a fantastic quote.
But we're gonna throw it back to Anson. It's a great game.
Appreciate the throw there, Deck. That's one of those throws you like to make. Hey, what a close game. Northern Hospitality and Dream Killers both got something to be proud of. I am just floored by the level of competitiveness that we have achieved in this league, and it's all thanks to the players and what they bring to the table. Guys, we're going to get set up for one more for the night. Stick around. We'll see you soon.